Hello and welcome to episode 121 of Killer POV. I'm one of your hosts, Rob G. from Blumhouse.com. Also with me is Elric Kane on his phone as always.
Yeah.
Inside horror.
He's got something going up on Blumhouse.com next Wednesday, I think.
Finally.
Yeah.
He's rubbing his eyes from
got some good
tears.
stuff. I had to send it to
Finally
Rob. I had
happened.
to finally usurp you and send it to Rob.
I had it slated already.
No,
I
you
just
didn't.
hadn't
I don't know.
responded
It was,
yet.
I threatened to post it to like tomorrow.
Yeah, and then I
it's just
responded.
like, no,
I was
wait.
like, no, it's already in
was
for
like, I
next
got it.
week.
No, but
I
there is
already
some
put
really
it up
fun
for
stuff in
next
it,
week.
especially about what would be like Society 2. It was
Right.
pretty,
We're
pretty darn
referencing
interesting.
a Brian used the interview that Elric did regarding Society.
It's like a
Which will be
20-minute
up
video interview
next
that we
week.
have the video, but that will be something maybe we'll post later down the
Right.
track, and we
Yeah.
turned it into a written thing. But
cool.
And it's pretty
fun.
cool. And it'll be up on Blumhouse.com.
And I feel, I genuinely, I know
week.
you know, we have different, maybe somewhat differing opinions on Society, but I am still genuinely surprised it hasn't made much of a splash, this new Blu-ray. I thought it would kind of get more of a resurgence than it's really getting. I thought a lot more people would be talking, because it's such a, it's so fucking crazy.
The Arrow stuff is not that easy to come by.
That's the
you order it
problem.
online.
And it's expensive.
I talked about this.
And it's
I
expensive.
was doing a panel at the convention I was at last weekend, and I was talking.
Bekah McKendry, editor-in-chief of Blumhouse.com, by the way.
I was at the 4-State Slasher Con, and I did a panel on the contemporary horror market. And in the panel, I was talking about, and I hate to say it, guys, that like DVD sales are dying, and that the whole physical media side of the movie industry in general, not even just horror, is dying, except for a collector's market.
Right.
That, these kind of like, let's take Scream, Sleepaway Camp, and repackage it and add a whole bunch of cool new stuff and get new art, and then we'll sell it to collectors. That market's booming. And so I mentioned the Society one, about how Society had never been released because no one saw it as a lucrative profit to release Society, until they said, let's do it as like a collector's thing because collectors will buy it. And then I said, how many in the room have seen Society? No one raised their hand. And I was talking to like a decent-sized audience.
That's what the article is about. The article from me was purely, my interest is like, why is that film in America never really had a high profile? Because in the UK, it was like a top rated. It was, and where I grew up in New Zealand, it was as common as Reanimator. So it was really an American thing that film was never caught on here. And so I'm curious, and maybe it's the surrealism, maybe it's the crazy sexuality. I mean, who knows?
New Zealand's just weird.
No, but I mean, in England too. And I think it won awards in Italy, like legit awards. So it's just one of those, it's one of those movies that always interests me.
But it's a cool interview. So
Yeah,
I'm glad
and
we
Yasmin's
have
an interesting
it posting.
guy. I also have to give a quick thank you to Jacob Saman. I thought probably butchering your name, sir, but I basically, this is the first time Twitter has worked for me. So I tweeted, there's only one movie I've been wanting to see before Halloween this year, and it's been coming out on the German fancy Blu-ray, the directed cut of Dan O'Bannon's Lovecraft film, The Resurrected. And I just said, does anyone have this? Because I know it costs a lot of money to get this import. And no one responded. And then I got a private message from Jacob saying, if you don't have it by the time you do Girl in the Photographs Q&A, I'll bring you a copy. And so I didn't met him before he listened to the show, and he came up, gave me a copy of that, and one of my favorite anthologies, another obscure movie by partly by Brian Yuzna. He gave me a Blu-ray version, a copied Blu-ray of the Necronomicon.
Is it the
anthology.
French one?
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
And I love that. I
French
think that
one's
film's gorgeous in general. Like, I mean, it's like all of his stuff, the acting's patchy, but the effects are so great. And so I haven't watched either yet. So I'll review Resurrected before next week, because I've been just wanting to see it. I love Lovecraft, and it's Dan O'Bannon, and it's one of those films I've heard that the director's cut's a lot better than the cut that most people saw.
Yeah. That's what I've heard too.
But our fans rule, so thank you, Jacob.
I just did an article last week on 5 movies that you could only watch on VHS, and I included the Necronomicon Lovecraft one, and somebody wrote to me on Twitter and said, oh no, this is available on Blu-ray. I'm sorry, you're wrong. And I wrote back, and I was like, I looked at it and I was like, well, no, this is French, but this completely kicks ass. And I ordered it right then.
The French one?
The French one. So it's on the way to my house right now. So though he was trying to one-up me on it's available on Blu, I turned it into a positive, because, man, that Blu-ray looks fucking sweet.
And I couldn't recommend a better movie for this season than that, because the 3 stories are just so weird, and they're so, just like, the effects are so goopy and gory. It's a lot of fun.
I gotta see that one.
And again, I couldn't tell you. That's another one I wish I'd asked Brian about. I'm curious why that one is so hard to find here. There's these movies that are kind of big. They feel like kind of big practical effect movies, and they just languish, and maybe they're bad deals,
Yeah, some kind of
they're all with
licensing
Yuzna,
thing.
though. I'm wondering.
At some point we'll get him in here. That would be smart
Yuzna.
to try. Yeah, no, it could be. Well, he didn't have Society till this year. He only got it back this year.
Oh.
It'd been a different company for years, and that's why. So
Interesting.
You'll find out more.
Yes. Maybe we can get him on soon. Soon.
Yeah.
Lots and lots of movies. Lots and lots of movies to talk about.
I didn't see as much, but yeah, what did you see?
I saw tons.
Saw more.
Well, if you want to go for the big one right off the bat.
Okay.
Crimson Peak, the new Guillermo del Toro
Hadn't
movie.
heard of it.
You haven't heard of it?
Does it have an advertising campaign or too low budget?
Well, you know what? Their advertising campaign, I think, kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Because I've been driving around town, and it says Crimson Peak, October. But no date. So I'm like, well, when in October does it come out? Look, next time you see it, look for any poster, and it doesn't actually tell you when it's out. But it came out this last week, and I was like, oh, all right, cool, I'm going to go check it out. So me and Scott Reynolds, whose son may be on the show later today, went to go catch a matinee of it. And, I have so many mixed feelings about the movie. It's a really good movie. So overall, I liked it. But Del Toro to me, and he is a genius. I love the guy himself. I love a lot of his films. I feel like, for lack of a better term, he's in his later day Tim Burton phase, meaning where like Tim Burton started just kind of ripping off early Tim Burton. Del Toro is just kind of ripping off early Del Toro. And there's things and aspects of the movie. It's a beautiful Gothic romance. It's not a horror movie at all.
That's what everyone has told me. But
it's a horror movie in the sense that it has ghosts and stuff like that, right?
And here's the thing, and again, mild spoiler, not really. The ghosts are, as I feared, complete CG like nonsense that takes me out of the movie. And that bums me out because as soon as I came home from the movie, I saw Doug Jones post on like Facebook about, I played the ghosts in it. And I'm like, really? Because I could not notice a person actually physically in any of those scenes. But the ghost scenes, there's maybe 3, and they're like a couple of seconds long. Essentially, this little Del Toro-esque touch, like I wish it wasn't in the movie. Like you can get all the information that you need to figure out based on what's going on dramatically without those scenes. And that's the problem with it is I was like, if you take out the stuff that he has to do, the Del Toro isms, it would be a pretty darn good movie.
Wow.
But it's like he's doing...
Is the Gothic romance good? Because I'm a big Wuthering Heights, and I like those kind of movies. It's not?
No.
I can't tell if you're being sarcastic.
I genuinely, when I see those movies, it's like... but they have to be classics, like really strong Gothic romance. I like.
It's a beautiful movie, and here's the other thing that I find really... I can't really put my finger on it. I do not like that actress.
Jessica Chastain or...
No, the other one, Mia...
Wasikowski.
I don't like Stoker, and she's...
you don't like Stoker?
Oh my
I love
God,
Stoker.
I love Stoker.
I pinpointed that it's just sometimes there's certain actors or actresses that rub you the wrong way, and I pinpointed it to her because I can't stand her in this movie.
Interesting, weird.
But Tom Hiddleston is a freaking movie star.
Oh yeah, wait till you know what he's in. That's coming out. Ben Wheatley's High Rise, J.G. Ballard.
Really?
Yes.
And I think that's the one I've heard some really great things about.
He's amazing, and he's amazing in the movie. I mean, every moment that he's on screen, I was really into it. And there's really good stuff in it. It's a pretty basic premise. The love story thing doesn't seem nearly as strong as they want it to be. And I think it was Ken Hanley who said it, best. He's like, I'm sorry, but you can't promote your movie as a horror movie for 8 months and then at the last minute say it's a Gothic romance, which is kind of a thing. Yeah,
and is that out of fear of backlash that he suddenly has to say, just so you know, this movie is not a backlash? I'm pretty sure. Oh, and the other, again, going back to the Del Toroisms, the other thing that bothered me is, this is a really expensive, like $100 million
it's pricey.
R-rated movie.
Where's the R?
Here's the thing. The only thing that makes it R is, for no rhyme or reason, a very violent death, which is similar to what happened in Pan's Labyrinth.
Yeah.
And there's like a love scene with mild male nudity. Like you see a butt. But literally, I'm watching this whole movie.
That doesn't even make it R. You can show a butt and have it still be PG-13.
But no, the violent death and that, definitely. And I just kept thinking to myself, I was like, was that really necessary?
And you would have made more money if it was a lower rating.
Yeah,
that's
PG-13.
But even if it was PG-13, like it's not. I don't know who the movie's for. I don't think it's for kids. No teenagers aren't going to get into
How's
it. How's
it doing? Did you hear how the first weekend?
I haven't really been paying attention.
Look that up while we sit here.
Yeah. I will definitely see it. I have to see it in the theater.
That's the thing. Is if you're a Del Toro fan, you have to see it. But I don't feel the need to see it again.
Well, here's my thing about Del Toro, and this is a weird thing, is I think he's better when he's doing crap. I think when he's a better director, like I think Blade 2 might be the best thing he's made.
Yeah.
Mimic.
But I feel like if he's working with pulp, he elevates pulp because he's such a good craftsman and he's a good artist. But when he gets this freedom, I mean, Pan's Labyrinth aside, because that's the one really great
Backbone,
film. Yeah, Devil's Backbone. A lot of people love that. I just don't know.
It's totally
that's his early
Chronos. I love his first one.
Chronos is great.
Crimson Peak is very tonally in line with The Devil's Backbone, but I found The Devil's Backbone to be a scarier movie. It was a scary movie.
It's The Nuns.
And again, I think part of it is where you are in your career as well, because he was still fairly fresh and new and kind of, I don't know, the older you get, the bigger the toys you have. It's funny, I had a long discussion with Del from Dark Delicacies about the movie, and he's like, oh, it's like, it's like when you can afford this giant, beautiful play set, and all that matters is the play set. The characters are just plastic. They almost don't matter. It's just, but look at this giant toy that they're in, Was it
you or somebody else who said it was probably a better movie if it was muted?
Oh, I didn't say that, but that's probably...
I'd heard somebody say that to me.
And
I heard most people had your same comments to me.
Yeah, everybody has had that same thing. It came in 4 this weekend behind Martian, Bridge of Spies, and Goosebumps, which I've heard is awesome.
Goosebumps is great.
Yeah.
I know.
I'm supposed to go see a matinee of it on Friday.
Yeah, I want to see it too. I mean,
I apologize. I apologize because I know some of our listeners...
But a lot of people on Twitter did like it. It seems mixed. It feels like I did see a lot of positive things on Twitter, but every friend I have has said what you have said about it.
And one of my favorite people in the world, he just did effects on a film I worked on 2 weekends ago. Chris Dumbos did effects on Crimson Peak. And once I started hearing reports, it sounded like there were no effects, and or that it was all digitized. So I'm anxious to see, and I'm anxious for some of the story to come out about whether this was like a studio intervention where, they actually did have ghosts and like real effects, and then it was crafted into this, or
it's a Del Toro movie through. There's no studio interference or anything.
So this was like his decision to do it like this.
Yeah, no, totally.
And will this hurt him going forward, do you think?
No, I don't think so. I think honestly that if we're talking, studio politics, I think it's one of those cases, Legendary produced it, and I think they just gave him carte blanche because they just want to keep him in-house. It's like, we probably will lose money on this, but it's Del Toro, and we want him to keep making movies with us.
They might make money internationally.
Yeah,
maybe
it could do better in like England or something.
Yeah.
It is taste and that kind of thing. They're interesting. Yeah, but they definitely promote it as a horror film. It seems like they're hiding a dark secret.
I was even at the Draft House last weekend, and they gave out these Crimson Pink pint glasses, and it's got like this screaming face on the front. So I guess that's not in the movie. Damn.
No, not really. So yeah, that was it. Crimson Peak. I'm gonna fly through a few really quick. Cool. Feast played at Screamfest. Got to see that on the big screen again after it's been 10 years since it came out, and it was really funny. The Q&A was really, a lot of people involved in the show were there. The Q&A was a lot of fun. John Gulager was top notch with both his self-deprecation, but at the same time his genuine. I don't know. He's just such a genuine filmmaker.
Yeah.
Explaining kind of the what they all did to make this thing happen. But it was funny because I saw Marcus and Patrick after, and they were like, "We're actually kind of glad we did your show because it prepped us for revisiting the movie." Patrick's like, "I'm watching it again," and it's like, we told you, like, we threw every idea we've ever had into this script. He's like, watching it now, it's like, what were we thinking? We threw every idea we've ever had in this movie. Still a lot of fun, still really interesting. I think people should check it out if they haven't already. It's pretty cheap. It's like $6 or $7 on Blu-ray. And again, it's got that Evil Dead 2 kind of flair and fun to it. Other than that, I just watched Pet Semetery again. I haven't seen that in like 10 years.
And you don't want to be buried in a pit.
Cemetery.
Ramones, baby, for the win. I think the movie's great. I think it still holds up. I was nervous that it wouldn't hold up because they keep threatening to remake it and all that stuff. But I bought the Blu-ray of it, and the lead guy's. I think the lead guy's really good. It's funny. Even though I don't have a child, everybody I know, including everyone in this room, does have children, and empathetically and vicariously was deeply affected by the movie because I just think of all my friends who have children, and that's such like the linchpin of the movie. The crux of the story is the death of a child. You know? And
it's seriously awful. It's that I remember that bothering me when I was smaller. Watching it now, I'm sure if I watched that now, it would like cripple me.
And the super creepy backstory with the spinal. That's the stuff
spinal
that always
stuck
with me. That always stuck with me. That stuff
was terrifying.
I revisited a couple years ago when we had Mary Lambert on Killer POV, and we were watching. I was like,
Killer POV.
Oh, sorry, that other show, whatever that dead show is. Inside Horror. That's right.
We've done a lot of shows, guys.
But that and it held up to me too. I thought it was really good. I didn't think it was look. I totally could see a remake going as long as it was a different movie, like someone pushing it in a different direction.
It definitely feels like a product of its time, and I don't know if you can recapture that because it's what was it like 1990 around that period. It's King was at the top of his game in terms of writing books. He wrote the screenplay for it, which is a pretty solid adaptation. And there's just a quality to it that I don't know if you can redo. And it's funny because I listened to the Alex Aja episode of Bret Easton Ellis's podcast,
where he mentioned it,
and he talked a lot about it. And he said, he's like, it's just hard because they don't want to do the death of the child in the remake, and it's like, well, what's the point? That's what the whole movie,
catalyst.
That's everything about the movie revolves around that. So it's like, well, then why remake it if you're going to take out the one element that makes it Pet Semetery? So I don't know. It'd be great if somebody could do it, but I fear that it's the same thing with it. Like the guy that was doing True Detective that had to walk away from it. I feel like people just, don't want to stay true to the King source material. Right. And I think that's really important if you're going to adapt it properly.
I was really disappointed about that one. I would really have liked to see what somebody else would have done with that story.
Yeah. Ironically enough, Del Toro has been saying on this press tour that he wants to remake Pet Semetery.
No, really?
Yeah. Oh, well, there's that.
They give it to him, sure.
Oh.
We'll go down the CGI
ghost. No CG ghost. No CG Pascal, please.
Yeah.
Let's bring the little boy back as CG.
No. What have you guys seen? I know that we watched a movie together.
Yes, we did. Nick Simon, who is our previous guest here on the Wes Craven Tribute, we did The Girl in the Photographs, shot by Mr. Dean Cundy, which I kept reminding people.
Yes, you did the Q&A.
I kept whispering.
You were like in the middle of the Q&A, all of a sudden you'd hear whispering in the mic, he shot Jurassic Park.
Because you do get kind of an awe.
Halloween.
Yeah, because I think people forget, like, it's crazy that this guy would be willing to do an indie slasher. It's crazy that he'd come back. But super cool. And, I can't be at all objective about this movie whatsoever, really, because I'd read it early. I'm a big fan of Nick. Was so happy for him when he, met and worked with Wes, when he was finally getting it, and I'd hear little casting details along the way. But there were things like, things that I'd worried about, like Cal Penn plays kind of this lead photographer, art star, kind of asshole, kind of Asperger-y character, and on paper I thought it had read much more just like an asshole, not a funny character, and Nick took this big risk, and when he just had this literally off the top of his head, hey, maybe Cal Penn, and I was like, what, the guy from Harold and Kumar? And when I watched it on the screen, especially in an audience, I thought that was actually one of my favorite things about it. Was, it's a big character, but it was really funny, and it's a very strange movie in terms of balancing tone. Like, it does a good job between, like, it's a comedy at times, and then other times it's really an ugly, brutal slasher, real slasher.
Early Craven we're talking about.
No, you reminded me of watching it was the violence in, what's the one where the guy's dressed up in the pitchfork, and it's happening on
Rosemary.
It starts in the 50s, and then it kind of flashes.
Prowler?
Prowler. Some of the kills reminded me of the brutality of the Prowler, which is a pretty nasty Joseph Zito film. But there's one sequence in particular towards the end, a really brutal murder that I think is one of the most kind of shocking and brutal deaths I've seen in a movie for a long time. And it's not characters you give a shit about, but it still hits you. You're like, oh my God, so that was interesting. But yeah, tonally it's an interesting film. And Nick has said himself, out of Toronto, the word was completely polarizing. There was like no middle ground. There were either people who were hating on it or people who were like loving it. Like, even down to like Variety and Hollywood Reporter. I think Variety gave it a terrible review. Hollywood Reporter gave it a glowing review. So he said, in his mind, maybe that's a good thing because it's doing something. Yeah.
I mean, I thought all the characters were really likable, and it's almost like by the time you get to the third act, because it's for lack of a better term, it's like a modern slasher.
Yeah.
I'm glad that the quote unquote killers had masks. That added like a weird strangers quality to it. That's what it was kind of evoking to me.
Yeah, well, I picked it up afterwards. I said the big difference between this movie and The Strangers has all these similarities, but the big difference is The Strangers are doing it for completely random reasons, and in this movie it's completely specific reasons.
Yeah.
Like the killers have a specific artistic agenda almost, which is very, it's just nice to see. And the first thing I kind of said at the Q&A, which I really feel about this movie, it's nice that somebody was making a slasher that wasn't self-referencing horror movies.
Yeah.
It was referential about the art world and other things, but it was just like we're so played out on that. We just couldn't do it. There's one joke at the very start, and then after that it's just it really is a straight slasher with weird comic tones. And I know it's an entertaining film, but it's so hard, you sit there when you watch someone's work you've seen, and it's hard to be objective, but I felt like it was a good screening. Felt like people were reacting well.
Nice.
Didn't you think, Rob?
Yeah,
you did.
No, I didn't.
Which is good. Even Brian Collins said something positive about it, so that's always a success.
Yeah.
I think all he said is just a little long.
He shocker.
Yeah. He stayed awake. He stayed awake for the whole movie.
Okay, well that's an achievement.
And Shocker's in the movie, Mitch Pileggi. So playing, you'll appreciate this, a Keystone Cop to be a reference to early Wes Craven.
Wow.
And he really is. They basically play
it's a reference to
more or less
Last
like cops that you can't take seriously or something.
Yeah.
I thought that's kind of interesting.
And they didn't really announce a release plan, but they said it was forthcoming. That
it sounded pretty good. It sounded pretty positive.
So they have distribution in place. They just can't announce it yet.
Yeah, he said, but maybe by the time this episode airs,
that's
probably
quick.
within the week or two, they would be able to talk about it. So
nice.
That's exciting. It's definitely one. I love those movies. It's divisive, and I think a lot of our listeners are going to be divisive on it. But that's cool. It's something to talk about.
Yeah, I've read both reviews. I've read reviews where it was glowing, and then I've read some pretty scathing ones on it. So,
but then the reality is people don't like slasher. Slasher films have never been reviewed well. Go find me good reviews. Besides something like Scream, of actual slasher movies. Find a good review. You know what I mean? They're kind of the films you're meant to hate on.
Is the greatest movie ever.
No, I mean critical though. Not horror sites, but actual critics are. It's fun. It's such a weird subgenre.
Yeah.
I'm still wondering. So that was also written. I was debating whether comparing these two films straight away because they're so different. But we were talking about it's co-written by Oz Perkins, who you talked about, and everyone's been telling me that I need to see February, and pointing to me directly. And I always get a little suspicious when people say that to me. But weirdly enough,
I keep telling you need to see Witch. I'm pointing at you.
Well, Witch, no, I believe that.
I
believe that for sure. But this one happened to weirdly enough. So we just finished Girl in the Photographs watching it, and Mark Kelly is friends with both of them. Actor friend of mine from Removal. Nick Simon directed, and Nick and Oz wrote that together. And Oz stars in it with Mark Kelly. And so they got invited the next day to see February, and I was like, oh, good, I get to see here's my chance to see it. And it's really funny when you see a movie that is so close to the kind of horror that you have in your mind.
You loved it, didn't you?
Yeah, but
he loved it.
No, but it's weird because when you have the kind of influences you have as you grow, and you like The Tenant and Don't Look Now. I have all these movies, and then suddenly somebody's put them all in a movie, and you're like, oh, weird. It's very dark. It's a very dark adult horror. It couldn't be more different than A Girl in the Photographs in a lot of ways. Didn't you think that way?
I did, but then again, it was it's just because nobody really knows much about Oz Perkins other than who his father was, and he did acting. He popped up in Dead and Breakfast and a few
funnily enough, Legally Blonde.
Legally Blonde. He's in that
prominent
too.
role there.
So he's in a few little things, but then what struck me is so I see February, which is this directorial debut that knocked me off my socks, and then you see The Girl in the Photograph, and then you see that he's a co-writer on it, and all that struck me is here's these two movies that I don't know. I felt something for them. I don't know what exactly it is. They're not movies that I want to watch over and over again, but they left an effect on me. And I'm like, man, what two movies in a row. What a sharp, interesting, unique voice in the genre all of a sudden.
It also felt that whole we've lost Wes Craven, and a lot of the older generation are kind of fading out and retiring, and it was nice to see two movies in a row that both feel like new versions of things that get you excited about the genre. It did left me, that two punch definitely left me exciting. The thing that really responded to was the way it looked and felt. It was an aesthetic film that I could really, but also the thing that's really way off and actually really annoying me about what I was hearing out of, because because I've heard only good things. It's not so polarizing in a sense, but I heard everyone saying, oh, it's a slow burn and nothing happens till the end. And then I'm watching this movie and it's like, yeah, maybe 20 minutes you're trying to kind of work out the structure. But once the structure, you understand where you are in the movie, from that moment on, stuff's happening. And it's like a real dread-inducing vice of a movie. So for anyone to compare it to like even Thai stuff, I think that's way, way off. I really was surprised by that because I was going into it going, oh, I've heard nothing happens to the last 10 minutes. And it really isn't that movie. No. But the performance by her name is Kiernan Shipka from Mad Men, who I'd been watching since she was like a really little girl. She, it's an unnerving performance, and there's a couple moments like in darkness where just a little bit of light on the face, where it's like it felt like The Exorcist. It felt like watching that kind of movie again. So again, as much as I really feel strongly about it, it's not like a lot of the movies I love. I don't rewatch them because it's unnerving. I heard somebody walk out, go, "This is one of those go hug your kids movies," But everyone's good in it. Dexter's dad is in it.
Yeah, James
Remar. But the one that really stood out to me, and I turned straight away to Mark and said, "There's an actress in it called her name's Lucy Boynton, and she played the brunette Rose, and she really stood out to me. She like popped off the screen. There was something about her. I haven't looked her up to see if she's in other stuff yet. She was at the screening with Oz, and I guess she's British, and she really like just something. It was one of those movies where she kind of popped off the screen a bit. But as a 1-2 punch, those two films for both Nick and Oz, it's cool. These are people who are still young and and also, now that said, the other nice thing to see is they were both movies that looked like they had budgets. These weren't like our friends ones, like people like Joe who are having to scrape together $70,000. These both look like they were made for $2 million or so, and they're indies. So you're like, oh, that's interesting, and it makes you kind of go, oh yeah, I wish maybe more horror films actually could get budget still, because you realize you get to do a lot more with that. So I don't want to overpraise some of these too early because I want people to see them first.
Sure.
But I artistically was really happy with it. So.
Excellent.
What else? What did you see, Bekah? Or Elric, do you have anything?
No, that was it. Those two, yeah.
See, because I was traveling, I didn't get to watch as much as I usually do, sadly. I did watch, and this is kind of fun, for something that I was shooting last weekend, it had aliens in it, so I watched a whole ton of Twilight Zones. Like, I spent 2 days just watching
the old ones or new?
The old ones. Just watching, because it has a very Twilight Zone-y feel in the script, so I watched all the old ones, and Parker had recommended that I watch Will the Real Martian Please Stand Up, which might be like my favorite episode ever now. And I went back and watched The Invaders and Martians Come to Maple Street, or however it's worded. And so any of the old Twilight Zones that were about aliens, I went back and watched them. And it's just fascinating to see the amount of fear that there was for aliens and outside in the 1950s. Obviously, communism being the main kind of undertone of it, but just how many of them there were and how it was kind of the most common theme, and the amount of fear that was in the actors' faces, like how much intensity they put into it. It's just kind of crazy to look at now. So I watched those. And then the other thing that I was able to catch up on is while I was at the convention, I watched American Horror Story so far, which the new season, which I was really kind of skeptical about because I hated freak shows so much. And I hate to say I hate anything because I know that there's probably somebody out there who's like, oh man, that was like the best season. How can you say that? But just something about freak show, it just never gelled with me. And I kept trying, and it was like I made it to episode 4 before I was finally just like, I am miserable watching this. Like I'm finding other things to do.
Wow.
And I am absolutely loving Hotel so far. I think it's beautifully shot. It's supposed to be set in downtown LA in this old Art Nouveau hotel. It's just historic and cavernous, and at the same time it's got all these fascinating characters in it. Well,
it's also referencing H.H. Holmes, the serial killer, because that character who they bring in like episode 2 or 3, he's designed the hotel. So he's designed it, the architect of and for little traps and places to get rid of bodies, and so it's very much a reference to Holmes, and it's really I agree. I think this is the best since the season 2, I think, so far. And I think
I loved Coven.
Yeah, I liked Coven, but at a certain point I feel like this might be better than Coven.
I think this one is probably going to be better than
It depends.
Coven.
Lady Gaga is the best thing about it so far. She's crushing it. She's really good.
One of the things that I really noticed, and my mom actually pointed this out before they played the song, is I was watching the first episode with her, and she goes, "It's Hotel California." And then I was like, holy shit, it is exactly Hotel California, to the point that they even play the song at the end of the first episode. And then you're like, oh my God, they literally ripped unapologetically ripped the entire plot from the song Hotel California, and that is the plot of this. But it works, and they're not apologizing for it at all, and they're using these kind of Hotel California themes throughout the whole thing, even focusing on Gaga's face. You just can't kill the beast. You can never leave. I mean, like, they're really going over the top, pointing it out, but it's okay, and it's really awesome that they're doing that. And it's
hard to maintain this show, though, because probably because of too many episodes in general. Like, we'll see. I hope it does, but I feel like this show would have benefited from the 12 episode type structure. Yeah. I think once you get past that, you're just like reaching for crazier shit to happen. Yeah. And at some point the wheels come off.
More than 12 for something like this.
I think these kind of shows, and they're so artistically rendered, you're like, no, you put a lot of money into a shorter amount of episodes for me. But I hope this one lasts. It's fun so far.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. And the only like big creature effect that they've had so far is what I think they're calling the addiction monster. But man, it was like the most graphic thing I've seen on TV for a long time, both sexually and violence wise.
It is hard for me. I have pretty, my standard of what violence on TV, but it's hard for me to believe that just anyone could turn on a TV and watch that. Like compared to how we had to grow up, like how you had to show an ID or whatever sometimes to get a VHS from a store. This stuff is crazy. Like it's just like crazy.
I could not believe that was on TV. I was watching it with my mom, and it's like making me uncomfortable. And I'm like 30 something now watching this with my mom, and I'm still like, I 31. Wish this was
31.
I'll take 31.
There you go.
Watching it with 31. My mom, and I'm like, oh man, this is making me uncomfortable. Just because it is so just sexually and violent graphic.
Yeah, that's the difference between that and Walking Dead and stuff. It's the sex and violence mix. It's I like it.
It was so good. That scene was amazingly done.
And there's great actors. They're pulling everyone in there. You know what I mean? It's like Wes Bentley's back in it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow, yeah, some fun stuff.
Yeah, so I'm totally into it, and I'm really psyched. I'm going to go home tonight.
I wonder what
watch the new one.
When you watch these shows on TV, you wonder do kids watch these shows? Like what? Could a kid watch that or Walking Dead? I wonder what kids watch.
See,
I just wonder.
Let's go get some random kids off the street.
Let's go kidnap a couple of kids.
Such a fucking crazy idea.
I've got a bag full of candy. Let's go get kids.
Okay,
let's do it, guys.
I say let's just go pick 3 kids off the street and let's ask some questions about horror films for the rest of the show.
Let's do it.
I'm going to bump our guest, and we are going to do that.
All right.
Let's do it in 3.
I hope we get lucky.
We're going to have on like some giant... I mean, we got Quentin Tarantino standing out in the lobby, but forget that. Let's go get some kids.
The thing about this, guys, is... okay, 3, 2, 1, and we're going to get kids.
Okay, so welcome back to the show, and here's something a little bit different for us.
And now, folks, something completely different. Very multi-python.
Yeah, so actually, we talked about this a while ago. I'm going to give credit to our friend and listener, Blake Regal, who actually presented the idea to me. We were talking about how we always, we wax nostalgic about how we found
Get off
movies.
My lawn!
Get off my lawn, Hanley. How we found movies on VHS and got into horror ourselves. And, I'm kind of curious what the next generation of horror fans is like and how they find stuff. And the good thing about the 3 special guests that we have today is that all of their parents have been guests on this show in the past.
And they all failed the minimum height requirement to be on this ride.
So I'm just going to introduce them by name and age, and
who their parents are,
and their horror lineage. And then we'll kind of I kind of have some fun questions that I want to know from all of them. So first up, Mia Page.
Whoop.
11 She's 11 years old, and her mom is Scream Queen Tiffany Shepis.
Woo!
Have you ever seen your mom in a movie first?
Yes.
She was in a movie with her.
Yeah, they're
Tales from Halloween.
Tales of Halloween. We'll get to that. Okay. There's order to this. Just calm down.
Okay.
11 Tiffany Shepis, and she's in Tales of Halloween. She's the witch in Adam Girosh's segment Trick.
Oh, you're scary.
The same one that Marnie's in.
Yeah. And but she was really scary. She was intense.
Yeah, she was intense. Marnie's like adorably cute in it.
In real life, you're even scarier, but of course.
It happens.
Also with us, also from that same segment, wearing the alien mask, is Clayton Keller.
Hello.
12 years old. son of Sean Keller, writer, who has done stuff for Dario Argento. He wrote Giallo. He's worked with John Carpenter.
And most importantly, he was on our show.
He was on our show.
That's what he's most well known for, really.
And he wrote Rage with Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
He's 1 degree away from Nicolas Cage.
Yep.
Tokarev.
And Tokarev. Yeah, the real time.
He's 0 degrees away from Nicolas Cage.
Oh, that's right. You're way smarter than me already.
He worked with him.
But you're 1 degree away.
You're
So don't
1
forget
degree.
that
I'm
during this
1.
interview. Yeah, exactly. You're still 1 degree.
Only 1, though.
Yeah, that's true.
And last but not least, Zane Reynolds is with us, aspiring effects artist, 14 years old. And his dad is Scott Reynolds, one of the writers, producers of Dexter and The Following.
And the upcoming?
And the upcoming Jessica Jones on
Yeah,
Marvel
awesome.
Netflix. So a lot of fun kids here. So what I want to talk about first, I want to know... well, actually, you know what? I'm gonna talk to Mia first about this because your mom told me earlier today that you... I mean, here's the thing. She's been working in horror movies your entire life.
Yes.
And she told me that you could give a damn about horror movies up until maybe about the last year.
Yeah.
True?
I started to like horror films when they showed me Misery.
Misery. That's like the catalyst. I like it.
Well, she
And-
also told me that you also liked The Walking Dead. You saw a few episodes of The Walking Dead and thought, all right, this isn't so bad.
Yeah, I thought they were just like crazy watching that stuff. And then I saw it and, it wasn't bad and it was good. So,
Right. So why didn't you like horror? Was it because you just didn't care, or did it scare you, or like?
Well, kind of all of it because I watched the first part of Z Nation and when it first came out, so I was like 6 and I didn't like it at all and I was scared. And then from that point on, I just didn't really like it. So I thought that all movies were like that. So, yeah.
And at that point, when you were 6, had you seen your mom in anything?
Yeah, I saw her when I don't know what it was called, but I saw a few scenes of her in a movie and it was just weird.
Were you on set with her on any of those movies?
Did you get to be on set and like see the behind the scenes for a lot of these?
Not that I remember. I was on set in a movie called Trade In.
That was Rob G, ladies and gentlemen. Rob G left his phone on.
It's the Kellers tweeting how proud they are that Clay's on the show.
So
That was not the time.
You yell at him later, Clay.
I was on set with that and I was like an extra on that and I thought that was really cool, but I never just liked the movies.
Right.
So
Neither does your mom. I don't think she likes a lot of the ones she's in.
What was it about Misery that you liked when they showed you Misery?
well, I really liked the lady because I thought she was just hilarious going. And I liked when he went and he saw the scrapbook with all the different people that she killed and with all the news articles. And I thought that was just really cool. And I liked when she smashed the chair because he was like, no. And she was like, why are you in bed? And so I thought that was really cool.
I like that you can do reenactments of it. That's cool. What about Silence of the Lambs? Did they ever show you that one?
No.
I think you'll like that one.
Yeah, we're gonna get to the classics.
If you went from
'cause-
Misery to Silence of the Lambs, I think that's a good move.
Yeah, because Tiffany told me that she's in the last year she's been showing you a lot of their favorites. Her and
I saw the first Poltergeist.
right,
Oh,
nice.
which was scary to you or no?
I thought it was scary, but I really liked it. And then I saw,
It was the clown, right? The clown scared you. Or no?
yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty scary.
And I
Clown
saw,
scares everyone.
Yeah, it's supposed to, I think.
Have you all
That's the
seen it?
scariest
Like,
part.
just
Has
to
everybody
jump
seen Poltergeist?
What do you all think
I've
of
seen
Poltergeist
it.
first time you saw it? Do you remember?
I don't remember the first time I saw it, but I know that I like it
You
today.
were probably 3 when they showed you Poltergeist.
No, Sean.
Who knows?
What about you, Zane? When did you see
Yeah,
Poltergeist?
it was pretty fun. Like that was one of the ones that my dad was like, "Oh, Zane, this is gonna scare you so much." And I watched it, and I think he built it up a lot. So it wasn't that scary, but like some of the effects in that were great. Like the horse that was the skeleton horse flying across. Kind of reminded me of like Beetlejuice, how it just got super obscure at the end, and it was fun.
Did your dad try to psych you out a lot and tell you everything's really scary before you see
Yeah.
it? And then
He does that for like Night of Living Dead. He told me was like the scariest movie ever, and like he's like telling me, "You're never gonna sleep again. Are you sure you want to watch this?" I'm like, "Yeah, I think I do.
I remember my parents telling me the same thing for Night of the Living Dead because it was one of the first horror films they ever let me watch, and I remember finally seeing it and being like, "Really? This? I've seen scarier episodes of TV shows. This is."
Well, that's the weird thing
all.
about this is like I don't know about you, but I didn't watch these with my parents initially at all. This is like a secret thing I had to find.
Yeah.
So do you think it's less scary to watch it with your parents, and it helps like because they can explain it afterwards, and you?
I guess like I think it's a little bit less scary because I mean like always watching a scary movie alone is pretty creepy. Like especially at night. Like I could watch any horror movie in the day, but at night it just adds so much more possibilities of you dying at night.
That's true. That is true.
No, it's
more
true.
people die in the dark, I'm sure.
so much more darkness and So I guess, and then it's like what I really like about horror movies is I like watching it with friends because after you could just share you share the experience with everyone. So like everything that you're feeling, they're feeling too, which is fun to think about. And like I don't think much other genres of movies do that for you.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I like
with
it.
friends.
Clay, there was one time that we were at Hollywood Forever Cemetery for the Dia de los Muertos. which,
Yes.
your family and I go together. And your dad asked you, this is like 2-3 years ago, but your dad asked you, Clay, what are your 5 favorite horror movies? And without any hesitation, you immediately launched into a list. I can't remember what it was. I think like Exorcist 3 was in there.
Oh, yeah.
Good
Still there.
choice.
So I want
Still
to
there.
know. I want to know your 5 favorites now. What are the 5 favorites that you love?
Okay, not in any specific order of like best to worst, but my 5 favorites are probably now, Halloween.
Original?
Yes.
Good man.
Well, if I could count the first 3 as one movie, then yes.
You can.
I'm officially allowed. That's allowed. Go
Because
ahead.
Halloween 1, 2, and 3 are
They're
the
all
best.
awesome, yeah.
Also, Exorcist 1 and 3.
right.
Wait, no Heretic?
No heretic. Heretic.
It's not exactly a kid's film, though.
All right.
Maybe-
Halloween's Exorcist. That's 2.
Maybe The Babadook,
Oh, yeah?
Nice.
Okay.
I like the
Very
Babadook.
adult.
All right,
Recent
let's go.
one.
which is who I'm going to be for Halloween.
That's awesome. Now, do you think that other people in your school will get that costume, or is this just purely for you? Like,
No,
you're gonna know who it is.
no one is going to know
like
who
it.
this is. But every year, my friends plan like a big Halloween party, and I'm planning on bringing the movie to the
cool.
house so I
Scare
can show it to them,
Nice.
Wow.
Nice.
so that they'll know how terrifying I am.
That's number 3. Number 4.
Yes, 4 is maybe Return of the Living Dead.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Nice.
I was telling Zane about that on the way over. Gonna have to show it to you.
Oh, Zane, you got to see that one.
Oh, yeah.
I saw that one. I was probably about, I'd say 12 or so when I saw it. And it's definitely one that it sticks with
Scared
you
the
as a
crap out of me.
teenager.
Yeah, it invented why zombies eat brains.
That's true.
Yeah, it is.
Forgot about
It is.
Oh,
That was
great.
kind of the first one. Up to that, they were just cannibals.
Yep.
Yeah.
Valid. Number 5.
5 is probably Trick or Treat or Tales of Halloween.
Oh, yeah.
Not
Wow.
just because I'm biased, but because I actually love those movies.
Did you have a favorite story in the Tales of Halloween?
I don't know, maybe Friday the 31st.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Cool. Mike
So
Mendez.
Fun.
Oh. What
Sweet.
about you, Mia? Do you have a favorite from Tales other than the one you're in?
Well, I liked the Mary Bailey one.
Grim Grinning
Yeah.
Ghost.
Yeah,
that's
that
good.
one.
That was your favorite, right, Zane?
Yeah, that was my favorite. And the Friday the 31st, I think those were.
Did you like the little claymation
I
character?
loved that so much.
My pitch as soon as I saw it was I want that to be like the sequel, the character that
Yeah.
takes you through every story.
I was
love the
so
claymation.
not expecting that because
Yeah,
it's
it's
just
random.
it doesn't work
So
for
fun.
any of the other segments. And then when that thing shows up, you're like, seriously, they did claymation? That is so awesome.
Yeah, claymation's
So-
great. It's
Yeah.
so fun.
Now, do any of the three of you remember the first horror movie that you saw? Like the first thing that scared you? I mean, you said Misery. Was there anything before that?
Probably Well, I sat watching my iPad a lot of the times when they were watching Game of Thrones.
Okay.
So you guys watch Game of Thrones.
Wow.
See,
But I
that's the type
had
of stuff.
headphones on, so
Okay.
My parents would have never let me watch. Like, I could watch horror movies to my heart's content, but I know Game of Thrones they would have outlawed immediately because it's really it's got a lot of sexual stuff in it too.
Right,
so yeah,
right.
my parents. would
Bekah,
be like,
please, there's children in the room.
Oh my god!
No, I haven't finished this children room, and we haven't asked if anyone wants a beer. Anyone? Get us? I'm cool with
The
it.
beer is for us. The candy is for the kids.
Get us some candy.
I have to say the beer might actually be healthier than that stack of candy.
Which Clay took all of it.
Clay took all of
for
it.
me.
So, but yeah,
Who else does it belong to?
Yeah.
Game of Thrones
Kids.
would have disturbed the bejesus out of me when I was a kid. So I can't even imagine watching.
Did you
that.
ever have nightmares from anything they were watching or they actually watching that scared you?
I don't think it was as bad without noise, but definitely just like looking up just to like not be like this, though, like looking down the entire time and seeing something like someone chopping off a head. That was pretty weird.
You are correct. That is pretty
correct
weird.
in your
With
assessment.
no context at all, it probably is even scarier. But did you ever have nightmares or not really? Because I had a lot of nightmares after seeing films when I was young.
The first time I watched The Walking Dead, I would have flashes in between like just dreams of giant zombie faces.
Yeah.
So that was like the scariest nightmares I had that will actually occurred to movies. So
Yeah. Did your parents then talk to you about what they are and that that they're makeup and prosthetics, or do you?
Well, I kind of figured that out after watching Face Off. So
Oh yeah. Okay, so you watch that. That's good. So you
That's
look
a good
behind the
show.
curtain.
Nice.
That's cool.
Clay, what do you remember being the earliest horror memories? What are some of the earliest?
Martyrs when I was 4.
That's Elric, and that's true.
How old were you when you watched Martyrs? Even though you don't remember it. Do you know how old you were?
remember
No.
Martin.
No, you're too
Dad
young. Was
told
the
us.
answer.
I know nothing
About
about that
That
movie,
movie.
or how old I was whenever I supposedly watched
Yeah,
it.
I now think it's an urban myth that Sean's told around
He's
the world.
blocked it out. The
Yeah.
poor kid has blocked it.
I'm probably not sure I blocked it out. I think I just dealt with it.
Yeah.
But
Did you remember the earliest horror film or one that actually really scared you when you were really young?
I can't really recall the first horror movie I watched, but probably one of the first ones that I remember scaring me is Jaws.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
One of the reasons why I don't like the ocean.
Oh, yeah.
One of the reasons.
Pretty good reason.
Very good one.
I
have
have
to
two
s-
reasons. The second one is not liking the ocean.
Legend.
And I have to say, I actually wrote this in an article that we did for Blumhouse this week, that Jaws, I think everyone who was of a specific age seeing it, I know like for all three of us, it really affected us in like a very kind of significant, like subconscious way where suddenly we were so aware of everything around us when we were in water. And I've never done that for another horror film when I've suddenly been like, I'm in the woods. Oh my God, could it be Jason? But if I'm in the water, the first thing I think about sharks
Shark.
now. Yeah.
When you think about it, we're scared of the dark in horror films, but in the ocean, it can be broad daylight and we still can't see it.
Yeah.
We can't see under it so dark. So it's an interesting
Scared of what we
play
can't
on
see.
that.
Think
Yeah,
of those
exactly.
gross little shrimps between my toes before I think of a shark. These are nasty.
That could get made, like little shrimp toes. Shrimp toes, man. Shrimp toes, the movie.
Yeah.
You can do the effect.
I first think of getting carried away by the ocean because I'm so light.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
So, and then I think if I get carried away, then sharks will be there for sure.
They'll be waiting.
They're just waiting. They're like
They're just
10
waiting
feet
at the
out,
shoreline.
hoping for a good
Do
riptide.
you
That
remember, Clay, do you remember like after that, though, seeing the first time where you kind of liked a horror, like you liked that feeling of being scared after that?
I mean, I liked it when I saw Jaws.
Okay,
'cause
you already liked it.
I don't really know how to be scared for a long period of
That's
time.
good, though.
It just doesn't really click in my mind.
And you also had an older brother watching movies, right?
Yes.
So you
but
got-
he was often at school or not around.
when you were watching horror films.
Yes.
Well, the thing with Clay and Zane and possibly Mia, she can tell us, is, with these guys, I know you guys watch a lot of these movies with your dads, and then a lot of times they talk to you about it after. So, in terms of either, what the movie's about or the filmmaker or any of that stuff. So does that help you be less scared knowing like afterwards that your dad will talk to you about the movie and you get to get your own thoughts out too?
I think like the question was talking it out with our parents. Does that?
Or do you not at all? I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, like the only time I really talk about it is like whether it's sort of what I'm trying to think. Mental, like if it's mental, and it was kind of not really apparent,
like a psychological horror.
Yeah. Then my dad will be like, "Did you get that?" And then, but most of the time, it's like I'm not very scared of horror movies because I always point out things. I'm like, oh, I wonder how they did that with the effects. And I'm always like, whenever I watch a horror movie, I'm just constantly trying to pick apart how they did that thing. So my mind is more on how they're doing the effects and like the story and stuff.
Mm-hmm. When did that start? When did you first like look and go, oh, what is that? Or how would they do that? Was it seeing a making of or something?
Or was it like always because you've seen your dad work on these things and you kind of see the construction from the start?
It was actually like Face Off. I think that's when I started like subconsciously got in my mind and I like just started thinking of like, whoa, that was awesome. How did they do that? And then I think I got my I showed some interest in it, and then for Christmas I got my first book of Men, Makeup, and Monsters.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's like a classic book by the old Fango editor.
But what inspired me, I think, originally was Creep Show, the Tom Savini one, I think it was all done by him. But the zombie birthday cake guy that comes out of the ground, that just amazed me. Yeah. And I was like, oh, this is so cool.
How long ago did you see that Creep Show? Like 10 or younger?
11, maybe 10.
Yeah.
I don't know.
A couple years back.
5. I was 5. That's the one that.
That's why he turned out.
That's the one that messed me up was Creep Show. But that is an amazing movie. Creep Show it always stays great.
And I loved it when I was a kid. Like even when I was a little bit, I think I probably was a little bit younger than 10 seeing it. But even at that age, I loved it because the stories were so fun.
Yeah.
While they were scary. So yeah, I think it works well
for
children.
Anthologies, just in general.
And I watched Body Bags, which was so much more different.
Yeah. And that's a fun one too. That's a really fun one. So when you got the book and started to get into the effects side of things, it's funny that you both mentioned Face Off. I guess Face Off is like the modern equivalent of Michael Jackson in the making of Thriller.
Yeah.
I remember that for our age is like when we got to see how they did the zombies and stuff, we're like, oh my God.
Or there used to be this show on, I can't even remember what channel, it may have been USA, called Scare Tactics. And it was like little snippets that they would do in between movies. They
Steve
would play
Johnson and Linnea Quigley?
It may have been.
They used to air those with the Horror Hall of Fame too. And I used to love them because they would show quick things like, take gum and put peanuts in it and you have like
that was it because they did like now and laters where you pound on them and sculpt them into monster teeth and things like that, and I used to love watching those because it was all stuff that you could try at home, and so those were great.
What's the craziest thing you've seen? I don't mean necessarily movie, but like a moment where you're just like, oh my God, I'm watching this. Do you have
it can be on TV or anything.
Yeah, from horror. Is there something you like? We were talking backstage about Walking Dead, and about last year there's a really particularly brutal one in Jennifer Lynch's episode where people are stuck in a we're not going to say who the characters are so it doesn't run it, but they're stuck in a revolving door and one person's being torn apart while the other one's forced to watch because they're stuck in a door, and she's watched that. and I was watching it last year going, that's the most messed up thing I've ever seen, and she watched it.
So is that the most messed up thing you've ever seen, Mia?
Well, there's this movie. You guys,
cool, good.
You guys might know what it's called. The 3 college students and they go to the woods for a project.
Oh, the Blair Witch Project.
Yeah, I watched that.
I liked your title better. 3 college students who go to the woods.
That's much better.
And so when I couldn't see the footprints on the wall, so I just thought they were in a house. So I didn't understand that. So when it just stopped and the camera stopped, I thought it was so weird because why are they just stopping? Like, what happened? So they were just staring at a wall since I didn't see the footprints. And I was like, what is in there? And then the movie ended and I was like, no. And that was the weirdest thing.
And because it's funny how you can get scared of something you don't fully understand in a moment, right? It's like confusing and then it gets scary. That makes me also want to know how you guys feel about found footage. Because you all know what found footage is, right? We all know. How do you feel about those movies? Because I tried to watch one a couple of days ago and I couldn't get through it. Like I hate it as The Devils Do. Just could not get through the movie. It was on TV.
That one's a little rough anyway.
It was on TV and I was like, oh, how's this? And I couldn't even watch the movie. Do you guys, I wonder if being younger, you're used to seeing it on reality TV and stuff.
It tends to be more of like a cell phone YouTube aesthetic.
Yeah.
So I would think that the younger generation connects with it. But tell me, Jen.
Do you guys like them? Like Paranormal Activity movies, obviously, things like that?
Does it even bother you?
I've only seen the first Paranormal, like found footage so far as like I've only seen the first Paranormal Activity, and like we were just watching the third one, watching all of the things, and if you skip through all the like scares, it's really funny. we just kept replaying this part where this girl gets her hair pulled and she just this really ridiculous scream, and we were just laughing at it. But I mean, like if you watch the whole movie through, it's pretty intense. But if you just skipped it, so I've seen 1 and sort of 3, and then Cloverfield. But that's as far as what I've seen. I want to watch Wreck.
Yeah, you watch
Wreck's
that one
great.
first.
And I need to watch
Blair Witch. Have you
Blair
seen that
Witch
one?
Field. Yeah, I need to watch that too. But that's and you know, it's definitely a lot scarier because it's every scare in that is way up in your face. Like there's no escaping that. Like where other movies, like you can sort of look away from the screen and it's like sort of in your peripheral vision and it's not as scary. But like it gets up in your face in the camera.
You're forced to watch it.
Yeah.
You have no choice. That's actually one of the best answers I've heard about found footage. It's pretty onto it. Are you a found footage fan, Clay? Have you seen the paranormal film?
I've only seen like the first Paranormal Activity.
What's wrong with you, 12-year-old? Come on. You gotta catch up.
But I think you've seen Wreck, right?
No.
No, you haven't seen Wreck yet.
I haven't
Cloverfield?
seen very many. No, I haven't seen very many.
Maybe your dad doesn't like found footage.
That's my guess.
But I don't.
We're talking to my boys. Excuse me.
I don't really like found footage either, though. Like that's the thing.
What do you think it is about it you don't like?
I don't know. I think it's just sort of cliched because there's just so many movies that use that tool to their advantage.
I like that all of you are saying like exactly the best answers for this.
I know. I love that he used the word cliched.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
You guys know what you're talking about, I
and
believe.
that word is cliched.
Yeah, that's true.
It
It is.
But Wreck is
It
good. So you haven't seen Wreck.
Wreck
You haven't seen
is
Wreck.
by far like one
I think
of
we
the
need to
best.
set up screening for the three of
organize a
you.
screening
Oh,
of
that's
Wreck for the
great.
three.
Let's expose
like
a bunch of adolescents to Wreck.
Well, somebody's got to do it.
It's too late
Elric
to
will
save
bring
them.
the beer.
I think so.
I wanted to delve a little bit more into kind of what your parents do in the business and how I don't know, either how it affects you or how you feel about it. Zane, obviously your dad's a pretty prominent TV writer,
Yeah.
but you haven't seen Dexter yet.
I haven't seen Dexter.
You haven't seen The Following.
I've watched like the first episode, but then I didn't lose interest, but I was just like, I don't actually remember why I didn't watch the rest of it, but
Okay.
yeah, I need to watch that. And
Why
then-
not Dexter? Is Dexter because if Dexter seems to me like a better thing to start than The Falling seems even crazier than Dexter.
He didn't want me to take side with the serial killer so young. But now's a good age, he said. So
Yeah. Oh, you'll like it. It's a good story.
So
he's
I
gonna
mean,
show me it this year.
with something like that, where it's so part of pop culture, Dexter, like. Have your friends seen it? Have your friends talked to you?
Yeah,
about it?
yeah.
So
Do
is that
they get
weird knowing
excited?
that you haven't seen it yet, but some of your friends have?
I'm always like, I haven't seen it, and they're like, "What? Your dad writes on it, and I've watched all of it, and you have it." And I'm like, "Yeah," but yeah, this year I'm gonna.
Scott, it's time.
Show the boys some Dexter.
And what about you, Clay? You've watched all the movies that your dad has written, right?
I haven't seen Giallo.
Oh, you haven't seen Giallo?
No.
Okay.
Why is that?
I don't know. Dad says it's not his favorite thing that he's worked on.
So it's much more of like I don't talk about this project as much as,
It's because of Adrian Brody.
Probably. I like it.
Call it like you.
Yeah, I always liked that one.
It's been a while since I've seen his sci-fi stuff, but I know that he worked on it.
Yeah.
But
He did a couple sci-fi
But
movies.
you've seen like the Cage Rage one and
Yes.
all those.
Rage.
Wow.
Yeah. That's cool. And Mia, are there any specific movies of your mom that she showed you?
The thing that really changed because my mom's an actor, is like telling kids at school. I tell kids at school. So my mom is a horror actor, and they're like, "Your mom does what?" Even the teachers. Oh, I don't watch that stuff. What's horror?
What kind of school you
Oh,
at?
wow.
Well, last year I started a Catholic school,
okay.
and yeah.
So they like Exorcist. They talk about Exorcist.
Christ compels you.
What about some of the? Let's talk about the classics, because that's
Yeah.
the thing. It's like for us, I always wondered, do the classic movies still work? Because like you were joking about Night of the Living Dead before, which is kind of funny. But like the movies that we grew up on that scared us are like The Exorcist, Nightmare on Elm Street.
Mm-hmm. Have you all seen Nightmare on Elm Street or not?
Yeah.
Yep.
I went to a Wes Craven tribute.
Oh, okay,
recently.
you went to that. Yeah, cool.
Yeah. So
Now, did that one
Mia
bother
has
you?
not seen it. What have they shown you this last year? Because Tiffany said that she's showing you the classics, quote unquote.
She showed me Chucky.
Child's Play?
Yeah, that's what it's called. For what's the one with the guy that lives next door who's the vampire?
Fright
Friday
Night.
night.
Yeah, I saw Fright Night.
Movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
They're both the same
You like that
director,
one?
FYI.
Oh, that is.
Yeah,
That's
I
true.
went to a double feature for him.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
Nice.
Oh, so you saw it in the theater?
Yeah,
Does that feel different, seeing it on a big screen? Is that scarier?
yeah, because
cool.
they're a lot bigger.
Yeah,
and
that's big
Yeah.
Chucky.
Yeah, it's just more fun being with other people that
Yeah.
are reacting to it. I know, Zane, your dad is a big advocate of seeing things on the big screen, and he
Yep.
takes you and
And-
your sister all the time to the
Yeah.
movies, especially to see a lot of these revival classic movies that way. Do you prefer the theatrical experience?
Oh yeah. Like it's disappointing for me, and I know this sounds kind of stupid, but if it's like not actual like a 80 millimeter or something like that, it's like it's never the same.
You
and-
can tell. That is such an LA kid thing.
If it's not on film,
but
I don't watch it if it's not on film.
No, I do, but like
Yeah.
it's just, and then the people there that like appreciate the 80 millimeter movies too, they're fun to watch movies with. Like I watched almost all of my first horror movies at the New Bev, like all the classic monster movies, and so I've sort of grown up with it, which is weird because like I'm sure not a lot of kids grow up watching.
Yeah, your age. No,
yeah, my
for
age.
sure.
Yeah, but
Yeah, it's nice though. It's nice that
Yeah.
you have that option in LA.
Now, one of the things that we've always talked about asking youngins is how do you guys find movies? Like, not even just horror, but how do you guys find things that you want to watch? Are you just scrolling through Netflix? Are you watching trailers online? Like, how do you find out about new movies that you want to see?
Fangoria, I go. I'll just be doing homework and then see. Oh my gosh, I love that movie on the cover, and I'll look through it, and because Rob G gave me all of
my Fangorias. Collection is now.
and so I just get
Nice.
distracted and read like 5 of them at a time during homework. Thanks, Rob G.
So sorry to the Reynolds.
Rob, you're corrupting the youth of tomorrow or the adults of tomorrow.
And I'll just so like I'll make like a list on my phone of like all these cool little horror movies and like ask my dad if he has them, and then if he doesn't, look them try to see if they're on Amazon or something, and go to Monsterpalooza and see if like the DVD people have them. That's how I find like the really what's it called, like the ones that nobody
Obscure.
ever
Yeah.
nobody
Yeah,
ever
hard to
really
find.
talks about anymore. And so like one of them was the Ginger Dead Man.
Uh-huh.
Oh my.
It was just,
That's a full
my
moon
gosh.
classic.
and
I don't know
so
about class.
Is that what's the worst movie you've ever would it be something like that? Like the worst movie you've ever watched that you're with your dad, where you're just like, oh my god, like the worst horror movie. Have you ever seen this thing that's just atrocious?
I can't. I don't
You
think
love
so.
it all.
Is it Ginger Dead Man?
That's where I'm
To
going.
be honest.
No, it was fun. Like, but I went into that. I watched that movie thinking, oh my gosh, this is going to be a great movie because it's just totally crazy.
That's Gary
even the
Busey,
title.
right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the first one for
Okay.
5 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Mia? How do you find movies, like stuff to watch?
Well, either listening to conversations with my mom or dad or grandma or other people, or like watching commercials, and then if something, even if it's just one line that I really like, I'll probably go see the movie. Like that's how I wanted to go see The Visit. I really want to go see that.
Oh, you haven't
because-
seen it yet?
No.
You
What's
like
It's fun. I'd say that that's probably a good one for younger
What was
audiences.
the line that you liked from the Visit commercial?
To go get in the oven to clean it.
Oh, yeah.
So now you're curious. What about your friends? Are your friends into movies too? Do you talk to your friends about them?
So I want to be Beetlejuice for Halloween, and they're like, "What's Beetlejuice?" I'm like, "Seriously? What are you still watching? My Little Pony and princesses?"
That's funny. What about you, Clay?
I'd say maybe Mostly through my dad and probably some of it through this podcast.
Oh, you've heard this?
Oh my gosh. We have a teen audience,
Wait,
guys.
have you really listened to this before?
Yes.
Or are you just kissing up to us for a beer? Because I will give you a beer.
Elric, quit threatening to give them booze.
Have you ever had to ask your dad to find you a movie? Like, Dad, I heard about this one. I want to see it.
No.
Okay, so it's usually coming from him.
Yep.
Yeah. Do you like his taste? Does he have good taste in movies?
Yes.
Now, what about what's Halloween like for you guys? Because obviously your parents are way into Halloween, and you've got your costume picked out. Favorite costume that you've ever done before, if anything? Clay, what have you been before? 'Cause I know your older brother Foley has been like Leslie Vernon.
He was
Candyman.
most recently Frankfurt from Rocky Horror Picture
Yeah.
Show.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
he was Frank last
So
year.
you guys always go for the obscure, and your parents help you make the costumes. Do you know what'd you say you're going to be this year?
The Babadook.
That's great.
Pretty good obscure one. And Beetlejuice. But what was your favorite costume that you've ever done?
Probably last year's. I was a bloody rag doll.
That's awesome.
Crazy.
Nice.
So that was my favorite, but I think this year's going to be my favorite.
Beetlejuice is pretty good.
I like it.
Yeah. What about you, Zane? Do you dress up?
My October's starting, or it was started last year, and the year before, I think too. I was building, but I've been involved with a haunted house in South Pasadena. It's by Evil Twin Studios. You should go.
Yeah.
It's tons of fun.
What's the name of it again? Because I actually read somebody posted about it recently.
Evil Twin Studios. You can buy tickets online. It's cheaper. But it is it's Ward 13 this year, and it's all based on stuff that's happened in the past in South Pasadena. So there used to be an actual insane asylum up on a hill, and so they're just sort of playing off of that.
Sweet.
Yeah, and so I helped build it, and I'm acting in it this year too, and I did it last year. And yeah, it's fun. And so that's my Halloween's probably for the next couple of years until I stop doing it. But but I love it. And then I think my most recent one that I can remember was I had this fun mask that I got from Monster Palooza, and I just wore all black and walked around with my friends. It was sort of getting to the point, and we just walked around. We didn't really trick or treat, and that was when I was 12 maybe. It was getting to the point where it was okay to trick or treat, but it wasn't everybody's doing it this year. But and then before that, I was just every Spider-Man of the rainbow. I was red, blue. It was fun.
Wow. That's cool,
Awesome.
man. And actually, we'll take a picture of it later and show it when our group photo. But Zane actually just took a course for, what's that called? Casting? For molding?
Yeah, face sculpting.
So he just made his first mask, and he's got it with that's the first mask you've ever made yourself.
It's the first mask
right?
I've ever made.
He's got it.
It's
That's
the
cool.
first thing.
14?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's the first
Holy
thing
crap,
I've ever
man.
done that's not a bloody wound or a zombie or something. So it was a new experience, and
This
it was
insect thing.
it was with John Goodwin, it was so fun to work with him when we were doing the class, and a
You
couple.
were the youngest guy there, right?
I was the youngest guy there. Yeah.
Yeah, your dad told me he had to convince them to let him in because he was too younger
That's
than everybody
awesome, though.
So you're a prodigy?
I like it.
Possibly.
I don't know what that means.
You're just way good at something way young.
Okay.
How did you
Like
first
a
tell your
12-year-old
dad?
saying that to you.
Prodigy.
He's a prodigy.
I'll just come out and try to not try to act like I know what it means.
Yeah,
So
that's good.
how did you first tell Scott that you, Dad, how did you first tell your dad, he's Scott to us, how did you first tell your dad that you wanted to get involved in effects? How old were you and how did that come up in conversation?
Well, it first it started getting I'd like to do this as a profession. We had this October horror movie nights at our house. We have this little projector and screen in the back of our house, and we'd show horror movies. And then I forget who, Chris Sanchez. This he's working on student films and stuff, and just doing all the effects for it. And he's pretty cool. And he does this crazy pregnant zombie, and then their stomach exploded, and so we were all just talking to him, and my dad was like, "Hey, do you want to come over every Saturday or not every Saturday, once a month every Saturday, and give Zane a little class on like what to do and build his like makeup kit and stuff. And so now I have like a pretty good kit, and I stopped doing classes with him for a little bit because I was doing the John Goodwin class, but I'm going to start up soon again. But so I've just been like, I did this pretty cool neck throat cut with that squirted out blood, and it's been fun. And so that's when I first started getting into like actually thinking about it as like a job later in life.
How do the parents feel about that?
Oh, they're fine. Like they're more like they care more about the music I listen to than the movies I watch.
Oh, really?
This is a big rap fan right here, right? You're into hip hop and stuff.
And like rock and stuff. But yeah.
Okay.
I can actually see, I'd say that my mom was far more concerned about my KMFDM 9 Inch Nails.
Thing, right?
Far more than the
Love
movies.
Why would that be? I don't understand it.
Mom she would always look at
It's
like,
more dangerous. Apparently.
yeah, and this was coming right off the 80s, like the Satanic Panic, and my mom like inspecting all of my Iron Maiden albums and everything.
Playing it backwards.
Yeah, exactly. And then by the time I got to high school, and like I remember her looking at my Cannibal Corpse albums and being like, "This is horrible," or Sepultura, "How can you have this in the house?"
Intense.
But then I'd watch the same thing on film, and she'd be like, "You're fine."
What do you guys think about the old like Universal monster movies, like the classic original monsters, like were from Frankenstein, Creature from Black Lagoon?
Oh, I love
Yeah,
them.
are they still scary?
Or is it cheesy to you guys?
they're
Or
not
is it-
They were
scary.
never scary.
They were never
but-
scary to me.
Yeah, they weren't me either. So
But I'd say my favorite one of them is Invisible Man, just because like it's so funny.
Yeah, it's funny.
And then you realize how awful the things that he's done.
Diabolical.
Train, like
it's just
probably
an evil guy.
I think he's killed more like out of the most all of the monsters. I think he's probably killed the most people.
Yeah.
He has.
And then Creature of the Black Lagoon was my favorite for a while. And then I rewatched Invisible Man, and I suddenly had a whole new appreciation for him. And then the thing, like, I was allowed. My dad gave me this big box set of the Hammer movies. And so I started watching all the newer Frankenstein, or like
70s ones.
70s,
Yeah.
and
I haven't seen those yet.
yeah, and so those were a bit more scary than the classic ones, just because like Frankenstein was like running and stuff, and like his makeup was more bloody.
Yeah, those have a lot of blood in them. I remember
Yeah.
that, and it's very vivid.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen Frankenstein?
Yes.
The original?
No.
No, not yet. Oh, something to look forward to. Have you seen any of the ones like Wolfman or any of the black and white ones, the really old ones?
I think I saw like one or two, but
Yeah.
that's about it.
She had the funny comment behind the backstage that The Walking Dead shouldn't have been in black and white the other day.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
okay.
it should have been told in order, right? You didn't like that?
No, like if you're gonna show the girl before, like after she, like you show her there, and then you show her coming. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's all out of order, but I just thought that was funny. I was like, I liked it, but she didn't like it. So she thumbs down.
When I'd say I was probably in middle school, I hated black and white, but then like later on in high school, it didn't get as bad. So I have
Still
to
can't
ask.
stay awake in a black and white film.
I do just
Fast forward to the end.
Oh my
She fast
God.
forward. This is too hard
I'm
house.
gonna kick you
Fast
under the
forward.
table right now.
That's what she does.
But that was leading up to the question: do you guys like black and white? Like, is it harder for you to watch black and white movies than color?
It doesn't matter. No.
It's good. It's good.
It matters a lot. I go like, whoa, my eyeballs, and then it's terrible. It's like,
Do your parents watch many of them? Or are they like modern stuff more?
well, I'm pretty sure they've seen them about 60 million times.
Yeah,
So unless I want to watch them, then no.
they don't bother, yeah.
Yeah. What's your favorite thing about Halloween? Now that Halloween's right around the corner.
I get to watch a lot of horror movies that I normally wouldn't get to watch, like during other months or something. Like my dad just gives me a stack. Like he puts a stack next to the TV and he's like, watch any one of these whenever you want. And usually I have to ask him for everything to watch everything. But like, yeah.
Claire,
So-
what's your favorite thing about Halloween?
All of it.
All of it. This is your time.
Because
Nice.
yes,
answer.
I like the like ancient lore behind all of it. All the movies, all the events, all the joy that everyone has for it.
Speaking of lore,
Yeah.
Yes.
I have to mention this because the very first time that I ever met you, Clay, you were sitting at Jump Cut reading this big, thick book on mythology.
Yes.
And I just see this little kid poking up over this book on mythology. And I was like, Sean came up and he was like, this is my kid Clay. And I had Marnie with me and we looked up over this book and I was like, mythology. That's crazy. So tell us about the lore thing, because you're apparently interested in it.
Because I don't know much about Halloween lore.
Of Halloween or of Greek, because
No,
that's what I was
Halloween.
reading at the
Halloween.
time.
I love that you like lore across all cultures, though.
Yes.
That's pretty
He will tell
kick-ass.
you
Yeah, what's your favorite
Yeah.
Halloween myth that or lore that you've read about?
Well, I haven't really read anything about it, but rather been told by my dad. It's an old Celtic religion that was overthrown by the Christians when they sort of conquered Ireland in that area. But the thing is if the whole origin of trick-or-treating is that it's Halloween Day is the day that the line between the living and the dead is at its thinnest, thin enough that the dead can cross over into the living world. And why we dress up is to disguise ourselves as the dead so that we aren't taken away with them. And also the reason why we give out candy to everyone pretty much on that night, because someone knocks on your door on Halloween, you give them candy. But
So if it's a ghost, they'll go away. If it's
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, trick or treat comes from you give them food and the demons won't bother you, but if you don't, they will do some serious stuff.
So demons dig candy. That's it.
They do.
Wow.
I mean,
Well,
everybody does.
back in the ancient times, there's like food, meat, stuff like that.
Meat. I want to go trick-or-treating for meat. It's just a fun concept.
That's what the demons wanted.
Meat. I like
Yes.
it. Like, I want to leave with like a pepperoni stick.
Give him your dog.
Clay, what do you like because of the Celtic lore? What do you like about Halloween 3? Because I love Halloween 3. And a lot of us do, but none of us understand the thing at the end and the rocks, because that's Scotland, I believe, or part of England.
Yeah.
But what do you like about that movie?
Well, the music.
Oh, yeah.
Silver Shamrock.
Yeah, Silver Shamrock, of course, yeah.
The insanity seizure-inducing song.
Do you like that the child gets its head crushed? A little kid watching TV?
Yes, everyone gets their head crushed. That's what's so glorious.
It's head-crushingly fun.
Thank
Yeah.
you,
All the
Prodigy.
kids. All the kids.
It was like pebbles from what was it called? It's like
Flintstones? There's a Pebbles in
Yeah, she
Flintstones.
totally gets her head crushed.
it was the giant rocks in
Stonehenge.
England.
Oh, Stonehenge, yeah.
Yes, it was
Yes.
the pieces of Stonehenge.
I like that you
they
said
put-
Pebbles. I'm like, wait, Pebbles?
Pebbles from Stonehenge.
Oh, yeah.
It's responsible.
Yeah, they
Okay.
took pieces of Stonehenge and they put it in the back of the
yeah.
mask.
That's why they had the giant
right, that's right.
obelisk at the end, as they
Yeah.
were sitting there like carving
the
pieces out.
piece of Stonehenge that they're putting in the back.
Is there a
of the
movie
mask.
like that you watch every Halloween? Like, is there? Have you guys any traditions that have merged over the last couple of years where there's one thing you watch every year?
Halloween?
The first one.
Yes, first 3.
Okay.
Probably Trick or Treat.
Have you seen Trick or Treat, Zane?
Yeah. No,
Like it?
I love that. Yeah.
Have you seen that one, Mia? Trick or Treat?
No.
Ask your mom to watch that
That'd
one.
be a
It's
good one this
really
year.
good one.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think you'd enjoy it. It's
That
fun.
and Tales of Halloween are two really
They're
good.
very similar.
And ask her when you home about martyrs. Just say, "Is martyrs good?" And see what she says. She might scream and run.
She's going to call up Elric and yell at him.
Yeah, you never know.
But yeah, if you like Tales, Trick or Treat's also good.
Yeah.
A tradition that we have that's not necessarily for Halloween, but for I think it was Fat Tuesday or Mardi Gras.
Yeah,
we
Mardi
watch Candyman.
Oh yeah, Candyman's a good
That's a
movie.
great one. Now, for the three of you, is there a title that you've either heard about that you haven't seen yet that like you're dying to see? Like I know Zane's probably got a bunch of them, but like was there a horror movie that either your friends or have talked about or people that you know have talked about and you're like, oh man, I want to see that one, but
Or you're
I'm
too scared to see
allowed
it, or not allowed to,
I'm
yeah.
too scared to see it. What's kind of on your wish list of horror movies that you want to see that you've heard about? Anybody?
Silence of the Lambs.
Oh, you haven't seen that yet?
No, not yet.
That one's a little intense.
Good movie,
Yeah.
but it's a great movie. Good
I'm
acting,
sure you'd
good
be fine
thriller.
with it.
Yes.
But you know Hannibal Lecter and stuff.
Yeah,
like that,
I
you know?
watched the series from like season
You watched the series.
Well, never mind.
You're
He's
okay
fine
with-
with the show.
Yes,
the
that's
movie
good.
Okay to
is
watch the
nothing
movie.
compared to the series.
The show is way more intense.
I've only seen a couple episodes of the series,
I
and
missed-
it blew my mind.
I missed
so.
like the ending and the first season.
Wow.
Wow. What about you, Mia? Is there anything you want to see?
Well, right now, you guys are explaining a lot that I can't just like. So, all this stuff and The Visit, Yeah.
Yeah.
And Nightmare on Elm Street's a good one to build up to. You might be, it's pretty scary.
It's a little intense.
Yeah, the original's pretty
It's
scary.
great. Yeah.
But it's a good one.
Blue Velvet, I really, really, really want to see.
Hey.
Wow,
Big fan.
that's intense.
Hellraiser, I'd like to
Nice.
see. I'm not going to be able to see for
That
a
one's
while,
very
or
adult.
at least with my
it's
dad.
very adult. Yeah, it'd be weird with your dad.
I watched Hellraiser way too young. I didn't understand half of what was going on, and then I ended up seeing it much later. But it became one of my favorite films. So
You have a Hellraiser tattoo?
I have several Hellraiser tattoos.
That worked out.
Yeah, so it worked out, but it's definitely it's worth the wait
And the Friday
to be able
13th
to
movies,
understand
right?
it all.
Yeah,
I hope we do that. I hope we all go to the Friday the
You should bring
13th.
me.
I want to watch all of the Quentin Tarantino movies. And
Have you seen any?
no, I've seen Kill Bill 1, 2. I've seen Inglourious Bastards, and I've seen Django Unchained.
Okay.
And,
But not like Pulp Fiction.
You've kind
Yeah.
of seen the
Watch
most.
Reservoir
You've seen the
Dogs.
worst of them. Yeah,
but it's not a matter of I can't see it. He's just waiting. My dad's waiting for it to show up in a movie theater.
Oh, that's wow! Go Scott.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Now we know that Zane obviously has an interest in effects and stuff like that, but Mia, obviously your mom's an actress and you did a little bit part for fun in Tales of Halloween. Is that something that you want to continue doing, or was it just something kind of for fun because all these friends were involved in it?
Well, acting, you're asking? Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't want to be an actor, but I like acting. I think it's fun, and I do it more, just not as a career.
Right. So you'll be back for Tales of Halloween 2 if it happens. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
And you're great. Exclusive. There
Well,
we go.
but I'm
Yeah.
skipping 3,
Okay.
and I'll come back
Ask
for
for
4.
more. Yeah. Ask for more money.
That's good. She's got this down.
No, you should skip 3 and 4, and then you should make a big cameo appearance in 5.
I think
Oh,
5
yeah.
is going to be her origin story.
Yeah.
So
That's
Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
I'm asking like Adam and all those people and stuff if they could do a Tales of Christmas, Tales of Valentine's Day, but they'll all be horror except for Christmas. That will be comedy.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like it.
But Christmas 2 will be comedy. Christmas 1 will be horror.
Is there other things you would like to do in movies? Are there other parts? Like, do you like writing? Because
Well,
you also have a
going-
writer family.
By what she's just pitched to us, I think she's
be a
producer
writer, yeah,
material.
producer.
She's total producer material.
Yeah, it could be. But you also have a writer in your family, so is that something that influences you a bit?
Well, the stuff that I write in school, my teacher literally says, Mia, it's too interesting. I'm like, don't you want my report to be interesting, or do you want it to be boring? And she said, boring's good. And I'm like,
I hate school writing.
Yeah.
and so maybe if
That's awful to hear.
if I'm in school too long, I'll never be able to write again. But, writing seems a little boring because you just sit there all day, and it's more fun to be active.
Okay. Cool. Then you're our producer.
Yeah, she's
what we
on
figured
the
out.
ground producer.
Yeah, sounds good.
And Clay, I know, obviously not just Tales of Halloween, but you've done little bit parts and things like shorts and stuff like that. So you've kind of
Yeah, I've only
acted here and there.
really done one short, and
With Drew Daywalt? Were you in one of Drew's shorts? I can't remember.
No, I forgot what it was. It was like some college student thing for school. But
And you're also in the opening of Sleigh Bells,
Yes.
right? With the Spooky
which
Dance.
I know
movie
is ever
with your
going to
brother.
come out.
It will.
It will.
It will this
It will.
year.
I am
Spooky
fake.
Man, you just got challenged by
Dance
12-year-olds.
Wow.
Get on this because a 12-year-old wants the movie out.
Calling you out.
But I'm also taking a drama class in school right now.
So is that? I didn't even know. I mean, are you interested in what are you interested in terms of like what do you want to do? Do you want to do film stuff? Do you want to act? Do you want to write? Or do you want to do something completely different?
I don't know. I'm good at writing. I have like an A in that class. I have an A in English, but I like writing, but I think I like acting better. But I'm not sure if that's going to be my career.
Right.
Might not be your bread and butter,
No.
but writing could be.
Yeah. But I'm thinking about maybe putting off on big things for now until I finish this drama class.
Yeah, you can wait till you're 13. Yeah, just put off some of the big things.
Wait till you're 13, make your decisions
Get your ducks in a
then.
row and then hit it hard at 13.
Can't wait.
Well, Clay was telling us his favorite horror movies for both Zane and Mia. What are some of the favorite ones that all-time favorite horror movies that you've seen?
Oof.
What stands out? And you know what? Stuff like Beetlejuice counts. Like if it's got weird, fantastic elements, we're okay with that too. I'm wearing a Pee-wee's Big Adventure shirt for a reason.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
That's also the best scene.
Yeah, it is, right?
From over here, I was looking at your shirt and I thought it was a man in a beret standing in the woods. But now I see it.
No,
It's total Pee-wee.
Totally. Yeah. It's not Starbucks, the shirt. Or the man in a beret. But yeah, favorites.
Okay, I think I'm like always subconsciously thinking about The Omen. I love The Omen so much. I like watched the first one and then I was like watching all of them. I also really, really like Nightmare on Elm Street. When I saw it like recently, it was like so much better than the first time I saw it. I don't know why, but I liked it a lot more.
Did that like blow your mind when you first saw it and give you nightmares? Because it did.
It didn't give me nightmares, but because I think seeing all the like funny Freddy stuff online, like his jokes and stuff, it was like sort of harder to take him seriously. But
so when you saw the comedy side before, it kind of affected the first one.
Yeah.
So did you like look up clips on YouTube and stuff?
No, I actually don't know how I just saw them, or maybe Freddy quotes or something. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I like that a lot. I love all the Tim Burton movies. Those are like, as far as like childhood goes, those are like my comfort food equivalent to movies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's good. Any favorites on your end?
Oh, yeah. Well, I really like Beetlejuice.
Yes.
And Misery is like amazing. And
I love that Misery is like her favorite movie.
I know.
Yeah. Kathy Bates fan.
Kathy Bates, yeah.
And you guys already told me with the vampires in the next door guy.
Fright Night.
Yeah.
That's a great
Good
one.
choice.
Have you seen the Fright Night remake? You're going to have to go there.
My mom said that it's not as good as the first one, so
I would agree
Mom's
with
right.
your mom.
Yeah. Mom's very smart.
that I'd be disappointed in.
You won't be disappointed in Fright Night Part 2. Trust me on that
He's
one.
wrong.
Big fan of Fright Night Part 2 right here.
You
Let's
really
go.
don't listen to
Trust me.
Elric.
The lead actress, way cuter. Trust me.
Anything Elric says, don't listen to it. What scares you in real life? Is there anything that scares you in real life? Whether it's the ocean or just traffic, crowded places.
I think the first time that I got like genuinely scared and I actually stopped watching, like I wouldn't watch a horror movie for a long time. And this is going to sound super stupid, but you know that movie 9? It was a kids movie about like these little sack things.
That one was weird.
That was really weird. I remember that one.
It scared the heck out of me. Like there was this one part where there was this guy that the bad guys built together out of a couple dead sack people, and it was like a baby. It looked like a regular person, and it was like on these wheel or like tentacles or something, and then it like had this baby head that ate the whole thing. And I actually ran out of theater because it was so scary.
Wow.
It was like when I was like maybe 8 or something, but it was really scary.
That was a really intense movie.
Yeah, and then
Never even heard of it.
and then
It's
the other
weird.
thing
Yeah.
It's a
I
kid's
remember.
movie, but it's weird.
that I
really
got
weird.
scared of, but I was like, hey, it's pretty fun. I think Psycho was the other one that scared me.
Oh.
Just like in the shower, like peeking out of the curtains, like what's going on. And then Conjuring was like the one that I like genuinely enjoyed, but like it was a lot of jump scares in that one. But that's the one that I was like, I love horror movies so much.
But does that make you scared of anything in your normal life? Like not in movies, but like just in everyday life, like being alone in the dark or walking down a street at night? Are you scared of invaders in your house? Anything like that?
I guess like whenever I'm like home alone, I have like 7 knives in my drawer, and like if I hear anything, I just like will stick a knife in my like like I'll just hook a knife into my pants, just walk around, just like it's like normal for me, but I'll just go around and just make sure everything's all right.
I hate being home alone. I understand.
Yeah, no, I get it. I totally get it.
Okay.
Message to Scott, you might want to look into that.
Oh no.
No, it's true. Like the house can make as many noises as it wants during the day, but if it makes a single creak at 2 a.m., it's clearly a killer. Clearly.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What about you guys? Claire, are you scared? What are you scared of, if anything?
It's a long silence because it's hard to think of something. I mean, yes, the ocean, as I said earlier. I don't know. Really, I guess being home alone as well, but for like long periods of time. I can be left alone for like, I don't know, 12 hours. And
12.
Yes.
That's your limit.
12. 12. And then I'm like, what's happening? What's taking so long? Unless they like,
food?
You sound terrified when you say that.
yeah.
That's funny.
What about you, Mia?
Oh, okay. So, have you guys ever seen the movie Coraline?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
love
Okay,
Coraline.
that terrified me.
Really?
It's
the button eyes, isn't it?
everything. Because my mom can do her voice, the other mother's voice. So ever since I started crying in the theater, she would always do that when I was like not listening.
Awesome
And it was terrible.
Terrible.
And then
that.
at the end, there's a fire in her eyes. So I'm terrified of fires, movie theaters, because there can be a movie theater inside the fire. Or no, a fire inside the movie theater. And then everyone, dies. And Home Alone, because I don't even really like being in a different room except for when I'm sleeping and stuff. And I can be home alone for 30 minutes without someone else.
Have you
I
read
think
the,
it can be around 12 hours versus 30 minutes.
Have you read the book Coraline?
No.
Oh, there's this basement part in the book where there's like the dad who's like in the corner, and it's scary. Like, I think that movie would have like gone up to PG-13 if they had that.
Great, now the girl's scared of basements because of you. She was scared of everything except
She needs to read it to be scared.
Yes, in basements.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Everyone's scared of basements.
Probably
Yeah, that's
probably
true.
just hangs out in the basement. Yeah.
It's
That's
true.
a scary thing.
Yeah.
Did you guys have basements when you were growing up?
yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't really.
Oh man, I was
LA
scared to
doesn't
death
seem
of
to have
ours.
them either, really.
No, LA doesn't have them. And in my parents' house, we had this basement, and no matter how many colors or lights they put down there, it still looked like a morgue to me. And I would I remember mom
Wait,
being
didn't
like,
your mom work at a morgue as well?
yeah, she did.
That probably didn't
the
help.
Morgue, no, the morgue was actually, it was bright and cheerful, and it was like where mom worked. It looked like an office, but the basement was like a whole nother thing. And mom would be like, go down and get a can of green beans. And I remember I would have this dash that I would do where I would actually skip steps getting down and back.
Yeah.
Because the basement
Like
scared me
Cujo.
so bad. Yeah.
I have very vague memories of like, I don't think my house was haunted, but anything like that was in the basement. Like any weird things that I've ever heard or that have happened were always in the basement. I don't know if it's because it's dark and so far away from the rest of the house or what the case is, but yeah, screw basements, man.
Yeah.
I
Who
don't like
puts
them at all.
basements in? It's just lame. Don't do
I'm
that.
actually scared of my garage
Okay.
because something actually fell in my garage, and I was trying to get probably like a soup can or something, and something fell right behind me, and then there was a creak, and I thought it was someone calling my name. So whenever I go in there, I turn on the lights. Oh, and there's cockroaches in there. And I bring a flashlight in case, the lights go out. And I run, grab what I need, and then run out, shut the door. And sometimes I just wish there was a lock on the outside so I could just lock it and move all of our stuff to the
Yes.
backyard.
Yeah.
I remember something actually that does scare me in real life. Whenever I have a computer glitch, whenever it just starts going all glitchy and stuff, my mind goes immediately to that part in Juong where the TV is going nuts, and then it goes into that face and it starts screaming at her.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I'm just always
yeah.
afraid that if my computer is glitching, I press the power button as soon as I can and just go sit in the living room for a while.
That's awesome.
Show you, Juwan.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to laugh at horror films and have fun horror films, or do you like the scary horror films? Do you like the feeling of being scared from them, or would you prefer to have an Evil Dead 2 funny, fun horror film?
Both.
You like it both? Yeah.
Something that I took a lot from at the Wes Craven tribute is they were talking about how Freddy Krueger's it's a really scary idea, but the character's sort of fun, and it's sort of fun, scary. When his arms go out, it's it's scary, but it's oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
And they said, or I forget who it was somebody there. They said, if you're gonna make a success or a horror movie like that, you want to make it so that they're laughing with you and not at you. And so I think that's that's a good horror movie, in my opinion. The ones that like just let off a little intensity for a little bit that make you laugh.
As a release.
Yeah, because there's like
scares.
some movies that try so hard, and it just ends up going like, oh, I totally predicted that, and like it's not as good anymore. But I think definitely having some laughs in a horror movie is always great. Never hurts.
Yeah.
I'm your boyfriend now, Tina.
And you love Beetlejuice, so I know you probably like the fun ones too, right?
I really like the fun ones, but I also like the scary ones. But I always have to pause in the middle because I get freakishly cold when I'm scared.
Weird.
So I always have to like wrap myself in everything. So I have to pause the movie, get up, get blankets, unpause the movie, and then you like miss all the stuff because you like, wait, was she about to smash the chair or was she holding the chair? So I like the fun ones better.
Have any of you seen your parents or your scared watching a horror movie? Like where you've looked at your parents and they seemed scared ever?
I actually haven't, because whenever there's a jump scare, I fling my hands in front of my face, and if it's bad enough, I'll like put my knees or put my feet up on top of the chair. So I'm always like, whenever there's a scare, I never look at anybody else. I'm worried about my survival in that situation.
Not your dad.
Yeah.
Have you, Clay?
I never really see my dad like convey fear, really, but when there's like jump scares, he'll jump, go whoo.
That sounds about right. What about you, man?
Well, I've never seen them be scared, but like whenever there's like like when the monster enters, when you can hear the music when they're about to enter, and you like look to the side and you're like, oh, it's gonna happen, and I look to the side, and sometimes I like see the monster's face on other people, like in my mind, and then I look, and then okay, they're just real. So
Wait, they're just real?
yeah,
They're real people.
Oh, I
Not
thought you were talking
monsters.
about the monsters are real.
I think she
lurking
was.
around inside the theater
They're real.
like demons.
Yeah, that's creepy.
Have you all seen Unfriended?
No,
I haven't. That's one of the movies I want to see.
that movie didn't seem that interesting to me.
It's actually pretty fascinating, I have to say. Like, I kept making fun of it. I kept calling it Facebook the movie. And
Yeah, we
I
have
actually
one of those.
really liked it.
But Zane, you wanted to see it.
Yeah, I do.
I want to see it.
You've heard of it. You've seen the commercials and stuff?
I've heard like 7 summaries from my friend because he's like in love with the movie. He's like, oh, you have to see this. I like wanted to rent it 1,000,000 times. It's so good. And like he went on and on and on. Bleh. And so I just have to see it now.
All right. There you go.
It's surprisingly good.
There's an 11-year-old out there
Yeah.
that wants to see it 1,000,000 times.
I like it.
Yeah, I guess that's good.
Do you guys will there be a Halloween movie that you'll watch this Halloween? Like, will it be the Halloween 1 to 3 again? Or do you guys have something lined up for this Halloween?
Well, like I said, I'm going to show my friends the Babadook.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's right.
Gives them all
Good choice.
nightmares.
Do you all still trick or treat too? Because that's when I first moved to town. Clay, your dad I went with you and your dad, and we went to like a different part of town where like the whole block was all decked out and stuff. And then another year we just kind of stuck to the neighborhood and stuff. So when it comes to trick or treating, do you guys just kind of celebrate in your neighborhood, or do you like doing that sort of thing?
Well, last year we went to my aunt's house because like there's like a bunch of humongous houses and they all like deck out their houses, and some of them even have like haunted houses inside, and they close out the entire street so there's no cars.
Yeah.
So that's what we did last year, but we're probably going to just stay here for this year.
Where's your aunt live? Is it here on this?
She lives
California?
here. There's a beach there. It starts with a V.
Ventura?
Yeah. Wait.
Maybe.
Could be.
My point being, have any of you ever celebrated a Halloween on the East Coast where it's fall and kind of cold and stuff like that? Or have you always been in California for...
I've stayed in Pasadena all the times that I've done trick-or-treating.
Yeah.
The most East Coast I've ever been is Florida, and that's summer or winter.
No.
So you guys have never experienced like the freezing cold Halloween night where you put on your costume and then you go, man, this was a bad choice because it's really cold out.
It's whenever... Bad choices here can only be made if you're wearing too many layers.
That's true.
Sure.
Well, from trick-or-treating in Arizona to here, I was freezing cold. I don't even remember. remember what I was last year. Mm-hmm. I remember what I was 2 years ago, so on and so forth, but not last year. That's how cold it was. I was like, oh, it's so cold. My mind was freezing.
Here?
Yeah, California.
Wow.
Moving from Arizona to California.
I was going to say, because we don't...
Before that, she was in Arizona.
Yeah, we don't dip below about 70 in the nighttime of October, right?
I'm going to argue this because this has been by far the hottest Halloween that I've experienced.
It's like 110 this entire month.
And my memory in the last 5 or 6 years has always been that it cools down considerably.
It started cooling down today, I think.
Especially at night. Yeah, but
I'm starting to feel it.
Yeah, reasonably being like 50 at night is that's what it should be.
I remember it being like that in December and January. That's when I always remember like, oh, LA gets cold. And by cold, I mean like 50 degrees, which my mom makes fun of me for saying when I'm like, it's freezing here. And she's like, it's like 55, Bekah. And I'm like, no, it's freezing. But yeah, I remember that in like December and January, but not October. I always remember hot Octobers for some reason.
Favorite Halloween candy?
Let's go.
Yeah.
While I was in Mexico, I went on a journey to find some Three Musketeers.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I like that you had to go all the way there to go on a mission.
Well, no.
Here they're easy to find. In Mexico, you have to look.
Yeah, there's only like one shop that they had. It was like a weird supermarket. Dogs just sort of stroll in and out because dogs are everywhere. And I saw one Three Musketeers, and it was the last one.
And you were all over that.
Yeah.
What about you, Mia? Favorite Halloween candy?
Like Halloween candy that you get.
What do you look forward to? You know, when you go to a door and you're trick-or-treating, that you're looking for that one thing they give you.
Yeah, they gave me blank.
Well, I never get Skittles or Fun Dip or any of that stuff any time of the year. All we get is like M&Ms and like chocolate bars and like candy. We get candy corn all the time of the year.
Oh, really? I never see it except at Halloween.
Yeah, we like stock up because it doesn't go bad easy. So, and I only liked candy corn since last year, but not the point. So, Skittles, since we like never buy them, and Fun Dip.
Oh yeah.
Because
did you like the Sweet Tooth story with the monster at the start of
Yes.
That was my favorite. That was a great character.
My favorite
right?
too.
Yeah, really good.
Pretty good.
Really good monster.
My daughter loves Skittles, and I just can't eat them. I think they're Marnie's favorite candy.
That's like pure sugar.
Yeah, she just loves them.
Sugar
Jane,
crack.
favorite candy? We have to answer this too.
I like Milky Way, and I love those people that give out toothbrushes.
There used to be this guy, he was the dentist across the street from me when I was a kid,
course,
Dr.
yeah.
Talaferro. And he used to give out, with the toothbrush, he would give out, I don't even know if they still make these. These were these red pellets that you were supposed to suck on. Whoa. And they would turn all your teeth red. You've had them before? And they would hand them out for Halloween. They'd turn all your teeth blood red, and then you had to brush it off. So it was making sure that you brushed every single inch of your teeth. But I remember getting those like blood red tabs.
Sounds cancerous.
I know, right? It's like, have some
like
red number 4.
Did you say his name was Pharaoh?
Dr. Talaferro.
He must be old.
Ancient pharaoh.
Mythology humor.
Giving it back. Zing.
Oh yeah.
You could be in Sinister 3. I think you could be the doctor. I hope so. I'd make you the scientist of Sinister 3.
Star of Sinister 3.
I almost forgot I watched Bubba Hotep last night.
Oh. Did you love
That's
it?
a great one.
I didn't love it, but I liked it. It's funny.
Yeah, Bruce is good, right?
Yeah.
Okay, gents.
Favorite
Halloween
candy?
candy. Whoppers.
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 I don't know what that is. Is it
Are you
marshmallow?
kidding me?
It's
no,
malt.
it's malted.
Those are
like-
so good.
It's like a shortbread thing with like some chocolate over top. Seriously, like
Anyone who listens to the show would know that I would
The
only
chocolate
love
balls.
something that could kill Bekah. And that's why my favorite candy on earth is the Reese's Pieces peanut butter cup. Always has been, always will
it
be.
is.
You know.
Yes.
Reese's are
I've
good.
You know, they make them with sun butter.
What?
With sunflower butter. I'll bring you some to trivia
try
night
one.
tomorrow
I'll try
night.
one, yeah,
They're really
yeah.
good. They're called sun butter cups. I love them.
I'm going to sue them for false advertisement now.
Why?
Because they claim peanut butter cup, but
They have no peanut butter in them?
I
No,
thought
the
Mike
ones I
just-
get are called
That's the one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They ripped them off.
I brought a giant pumpkin full of candy, and I
Yes, you did.
forgot that peanuts will kill Bekah, so we
completely.
really had to
Who cares?
pull out all
we could have any one of these kids can take her place on the show. Everyone's expendable here. You guys did a great job today. I'm
Well,
impressed.
I'm kind of like the same gender, so dibs.
Yes, you got career woman right there.
Mia gets
You're a
it.
producer. You're a producer all
She's
over.
like Mia has already planned out her babysitting ventures with my daughter. So she we were at
We're like best friends here.
Yeah. So I think we were at Adam Girosh's like Christmas party or something like that, and she was like, "Okay, so I'm gonna babysit Marnie starting at this age, and here's what." And I was like, "Okay,
I'm coming over to your house next week.
I know.
For your party.
We're having a party. She
You
gets to watch
guys are
Marnie.
so LA.
I know,
Totally
right?
LA.
Alrighty, well, I'm going to close this out.
That's a good time.
My favorite chocolate is Twix, but my favorite candy is gummy bears.
Oh,
The gummy bears. So that's that.
have you had the juice-filled ones?
Yes, I have. But listen,
That sounds disgusting.
the only variant gummy bear I go for is chocolate covered gummy bears.
Oh my god! I can't even imagine.
The fudgy bears.
That also sounds
They're
disgusting.
muddy bears. They're called
Muddy bears, that's it.
They're
Wait.
delicious. Come on.
I just said that Three Musketeers are my favorite chocolate, but my favorite candies are as well Fun Dip and Skittles.
Okay. We'll
Just
play
pure
it.
sugar.
Yes,
We'll play
just pure
Panda.
sugar. I mean, you're never too old for sugar.
Yeah.
I think all three of you should say thank you to your parents on these mics right now
Thanks,
Thank you,
parents.
for making
It
these so
sounded
cool
very sincere.
and to such good movies. I'm impressed.
Yeah, it's just a lot of fun. Thanks, guys, for coming out on a school night.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
welcome.
Now we have to get you home before we get in
I
trouble.
thought we were all going to go out and
have
party
to
right
hire
now,
like an
but-
on-set
Yeah.
teacher or something.
Or can me a beer.
Yeah, and I will. So we wish you all a happy Halloween.
Yeah.
There's still one more episode before Halloween, but
Right.
for you guys, I'm wishing you
For
three
you guys, happy Halloween.
a really awesome Halloween.
And yeah,
sure
we'll be
that-
back next week for our Halloween episode.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's
I'm
do
sure
it.
that Rob
See
and
you
I
then.
will see each other between then and now.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Alrighty, thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye bye.